It's better to like get to know what you're getting into before you dive really hard into something, for sure. And if I'm
because if anyone explained this to me going into it,
you wouldn't have done it.
I don't know. I would have had to think a little bit harder. Instead of my friend just going, "Hey, let's start a podcast." Okay, cool. What do I do?
I've been fortunate enough not to been like more of a guest or an acting role on it.
Yeah.
I have never had to edit a podcast, but I do edit videos and content for online. So I
went to school for it, so it was like
did.
obviously I'm going to be the editor.
They were like, you are the one. You are chosen.
We're going to work together so I can take.
No, we're not even started
Yeah,
yet.
we're
just vamping and talking to people.
Yeah.
You're all good.
No, it was like, oh, we're going to work together so I can take advantage of your editing skills.
Lovely. Lovely.
I love that.
You know my history. Well, I've told both of you my history.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
It got me here, so I can't complain that much.
I found podcasting kind of serendipitously.
Yeah?
I did.
Yeah, it was one of the people I went to school with in college, and we went to art school for comics. Mm-hmm. I have a master's in comics, don't ask.
I have a bachelor in illustration, so, you're in good company.
You know, yes.
Yeah.
But they went on and apparently took up a writing position at a company and just found their passion was writing, and they had just written this script, and they just knew people in the industry, and this person had started working at Adult Swim, Nintendo, so they're just like, I have this passion project. And they reached, and I hadn't heard from them in years, and they just reached out, and they were like, you're doing voice acting stuff now. And I was like, yeah, I did. At that point, I just a couple years in. And they're like, I have a character, and when I wrote it, I thought of you. So it was one of those,
so
like,
cool.
They actually were like, no, when I wrote this character, like, I heard your voice. And I was like, like trembling lip, everything.
I love that so much.
Oh my God. And that was the first time I'd ever I had heard about podcasting, but it had been always like the talk show.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Talking
and I was like, wait a minute, this is like an old radio play.
Yeah.
This is like a radio.
Oh no,
what?
when Blood Crow got first pitched to me, that's what it was pitched as. It's like radio show, audio drama. And I was like, that's actually interesting, because that makes use of like the skills I'm building in school and everything. So.
Yep. I had none of the, well, some of the skills from the grind, I guess. We're getting out of that mindset slowly. We're getting into a much more healthy capacity.
Sweet.
We're rolling.
Oh, okay.
Everybody,
that's
professional.
We still have 5, but we are live, so nobody start throwing F-bombs, please.
I know.
I didn't hear anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nothing.
So who here is more interested in the, like, editing side, like production, the production side of podcasting? Thank you, sir. Thank you. No, all right, we got 2. Sweet. Okay, three. We got 4. We got 5, 6. No, we have 7. We have a 7. We have a 7. We have an 8. We have an 8.
This is not an auction. This is not an auction.
You get nothing for
You missed that yesterday. That was yesterday.
How many people are here interested in, like, writing for podcasts?
Script
writing, things like that. Okay, thank you. All right, cool. How many people are interested in the voice acting aspect of my people? Hi.
Nice.
Excellent. Okay, so we have a pretty good mix.
So
we do.
We have a pretty good mix, yeah.
Since we're got a little bit of time, I'm just going to go ahead and take
Sure.
care of this one thing.
Housekeeping.
A little bit of housekeeping. With great power comes great responsibility. DragonCon is committed to helping the community through raising funds and providing a dollar for dollar match up to $125,000 to this year's charity, NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness in Georgia. And they want to let you know you are not alone. No matter how you have been affected by mental illness, please know that you are welcome here. NAMI's Georgia's goals are advocate for at the county, state, and national levels for non-discriminatory access to quality health care, housing, education, and employment for people with mental illness. Educate the public about mental illness, work to eliminate the stigma of mental illness, and support individuals and families affected by the mental illness. We have a QR code up here, and you can come up after the show and scan and donate. And
After the
again,
panel.
Dragon
Are
Con
we doing
will
a
match
show?
dollar for dollar.
Yeah, we are.
I guess we are doing a show. Yeah, make DragonCon spend money.
Yeah. And we're trying to kick butt as a digital media track,
Yeah.
making
Yes.
us raise the most money. So if you guys want to
Absolutely.
be sort of a conspiracy sort of thing with us, that would be awesome.
Right.
It is a little bit of bragging rights, just a little bit.
A lot of it.
A lot of it.
So, as I said earlier, this panel is how to produce a podcast. We're going to go into details of just what it takes to actually produce a podcast, from ideas to release. This panel is, if we do it right, this panel is either going to make you excited to start your podcast or never want to touch podcasting again. Either way, you're welcome. My name is Scott Moore, aka Groove is for Life. I'm an audio editor and sound designer. I've currently audio edit for Goblins and Growlers, which is a TTRPG podcast. It talks about TTRPG news. I'm the audio producer for Quid Pro Roll Season 2, which is a live play D&D adventure. And then when I do have spare time, I'm a musician and composer. Alex? Or no, Cricket, sorry.
Oh, it's my turn. Oh, shoot, that is me.
I
Hi.
forgot the order.
Hi, I am Cricket. I'm a voice actor, singer. I also do illustration stuff. What did I put there? Oh, okay, cool. I also go under Bad Carrot Studios. That's where I illustrate and do a lot of artwork. I forget what I put down.
We did these we did these slides like about a month ago. So,
we are the one
a
that
lot has happened.
We're over prepared and very uncaffeinated.
Yes.
So as a digital creator and I'm on YouTube, I'm on a lot of places, and we're going to have QR codes and stuff at the end where you can find us, and any of the resources we have here. I have a bunch of resources that I'm not going to be able to even, I'm going to skim the surface, but all of those resources will be free. I have a QR code, and they're Google documents. I try to keep them updated. It's like budget setups, how to kind of start in voice acting, all of those things. So I will have resources for people.
And we all have QR codes.
Yes.
That will have a link to this presentation. So if you need to go back and check something out that we missed, it's there for you.
But yeah, some of the
We beat
Hello,
them.
Bertrand.
They're so slow. They are so slow.
So some of the things that I've done is specifically for podcasting is I don't know if I was telling them this story, but I fell into podcasting very serendipitously, where a friend of mine just happened to be producing one as a passion project and was like, oh, you're doing this voice acting thing, right? And at that time I was pretty new at it still. And they told me, they're like, I wrote a character in this show with you in mind. This is your voice, and I want you on it. And it was the first time I'd been introduced to podcasting. I'd always known it as like a talk show or someone talking about a special interest. I didn't realize it could be also like a radio play, like the old-fashioned. I have an archive of like the original BBC Lord of the Rings radio show, and it's like 13 episodes, like 2 hours long each, where Ian Holmes plays Frodo, which is a full circle moment for me. If anybody don't know, he plays Bilbo in the movie, so just tangent there. All right. So that was my introduction, and then recently I was cast on another podcast called Jump Leads, and that was very exciting because that is being written and produced by my mentor, Dino Andrade, who is starting to get more into kind of directing. He's a voice actor. He's the voice of the Scarecrow from Arkham Asylum. He's Megatork. He's done a lot of stuff, and he's been able to pull in people like Dave Fennoy, Gray Delisle, like a bunch of really amazing voice actors. So for me, I've been doing this for over 10 years, but I'm still very, I want to say almost not. It's an industry that it's like, you can work at it a long time and still be very new, in a way. So that was very exciting, and I have promo material over there, so that's kind of a little self-plug. All right, I'll shut up.
Never do that. All right.
Oh,
So
no.
I am Alex P. Why have I put most of my boring credentials on here? That's because I'm here to talk to you about a lot of technical stuff in the sense of how to organize it.
Very important.
Oh gosh. I'm a podcaster. I do editing on those. We do TTRPGs. We do art streams. We do talking heads. We cover a whole lot of different types of podcasts as well as subject matter.
And just so I'm going to brag on you, how many shows do you do?
Oh gosh. I lose count a lot. I think 4 or 5 regularly, and then we also have like some seasonal stuff. We have some that we do for special events. Like we have tomorrow morning, Guild of Granddaughters, Questmaster. That's one that we do twice a year. We do one for International Women's Day to raise money for charity, and we do one here as a live show. So like we have some sort of different ones. But in that Airtime for Nonsense network, we are part of, we have like 12 shows that we do between everybody that we work with. So we do a lot of stuff.
So again, like all combined, there is a ton of years of experience on this panel. That's really what I want to emphasize.
And then this is my actual day job that I listed in here as product manager and business analyst. These are some things that I do that I found actually are very, very helpful in producing a podcast, because you start this going, I really want to talk to my friends about, like, I don't know, a children's book series that nobody's read in 29 years. And then you end with, I have to build calendars and schedule and make Jira tickets and make workflows and epics, and how am I going to do this? So it all comes back to this sort of thing. But before I get even into this even further, I just want to shout out how interconnected all of this is, all of our combined work here, but also like the people around us. Like this whole panel came together because back corner there, Elaine, invited some people to teach a class, and so Scott and I got to actually go and teach about this too, and we were like, well, this could be a great panel for Dragon Con, and so here we are. So, all right, I'm going to keep going.
Go for it.
All right, so I'm here to talk to you guys about the production pipeline. How do you start? We start the most basic, choosing a subject. What do you want to talk about? What type of show do you want? Do you just want to sit here and talk to your friends? No music on it, maybe just like a kind of stinger at the beginning, stinger at the end. Thank you. Do you want to have something that has the epic feel of like maybe a massive like Worlds Beyond Number campaign, a Critical Role? Like what are you looking for here? And how are you going to get the skills to pull that off? Because it's very, very hard.
And we've talked to a couple, one, so kind of the big 3 that you hear about Talking Head, which is kind of your Joe Rogans, your named celebrity here. Typically interviews can be interview style, can be just, 3 people sitting around a table talking about Animorphs, not naming names. There's audio dramas, there's also, even if I know authors a lot of times will do book readings. One well-known, at least around here, Scott Sigler, is he did readings of all his books long before audiobooks were a thing. So yeah, there's a lot of different options, that are out there.
And also, maybe bringing in voice talent as well. So
It's important.
It is. And then also thinking about things like, what's your cadence? Like, how often do you want this to go out? Because if you tell me, like, oh, man, everybody's doing a 1-week podcast. No, everybody who doesn't have a day job is doing a 1-week podcast.
No team,
people who get paid for this and have a crew.
I was going to say they have a crew. They have a team working with them, absolutely.
Yeah, they just show up and talk on the mic. There's a team behind them doing all the actual work.
Apparently.
Allegedly.
Hey, man.
We'll get there.
No shots fired at this panel.
I mean, I do, but,
Hush you. Don't brag.
So on top of that, the who needs to be there. And I know we just talked about like that as a sort of like, do you have a team behind it? But I think really what we're talking about here is, do you need people to bounce off of? Are you the type of person that wants to sit with somebody and have a conversation that flows and is fun? Or are you the type of person that's like, I'm going to write a script and I'm going to do my own thing by myself, which is also very valid.
Yeah. And also understanding, we talk about who needs to be there. Where's there? Is that online? Is that in person? Obviously, online podcasts are, much bigger now thanks to, the 2020. But, people do still theoretically get together in person and do this as well.
And then needing guests, which is we're talking when we say who do you need there, and like are you talking to somebody? We're talking people that are like on the show consistently. Guests is a whole other ball game, and very much going to be relying on Cricket to talk to us about that. So, yeah, because you do a lot of work with that, and you know a lot about that. And then of course, how long will this really take? Gosh, so long.
A lot longer than you think.
Longer than you think, yes.
So very long.
And we're just talking just the production cycle.
Mm-hmm. All right, now I'm going to talk at you for a little bit. So starting all of this, starting this whole thing is just like starting any relationship. It's all about chatting it out with the people that you're going to be doing this with. Scheduling. How much time do you have? No, how much time do you really have? Like, for real, stop lying to me that you have all this time. You don't. And then when you're talking to guests, trying to speak to people that are coming onto your show, is this somebody that needs to know all of the questions beforehand? Is it somebody you have a relationship with that you can kind of, oh, I trust that you're not going to ask me something insanely personal when we are, doing this sort of thing? Boundaries. When you're speaking with multiple people that, especially if they know you, you guys might have an inside joke that you talk about, or like, they might poke fun at you for something like, at home, and it's like maybe you don't want to talk about your partner or your kids or something like that. So having those conversations where you establish what those boundaries are and what is the part of you that you don't want to put out to people. Editing also helps with this, but the less editing you have to do, the better. Not to,
Yeah, no.
You're right. And a lot of this is what we like to call pre-production.
Yes.
And pre-production will save your life if you do it correctly.
Yeah, the more organizing and planning you can do beforehand, like we said, we did this like a month ago. So we're over-prepared, but it's better to be over-prepared than get there and realize you're missing something, you scheduled something wrong, you set it'll flow so much better the more prep work you do.
And one thing we talked about it in the previous slide, but I want to really hammer down is like, what is your release cadence? Are you going to release every other week, once a month, twice a month, whatever? And
start slow.
And start very slow.
You can always add to your schedule. It's
harder to take away.
It's a lot harder to take away.
A lot of people, myself included, when the first podcast I was on, we were like, we're going to do, twice a month on the 1st and the 15th. And we had a cast of like 20-something people with full audio, with full music and sound effects and a full production. So, yeah, that was, because when typically when you first start, you usually have a lot of time, or you think you have a lot of time. And then life do be lifing, and suddenly you don't have the time you think you have.
Yeah, that's part of building that buffer too. So if you're releasing twice a month, make sure you have like 5-6 episodes before you ever
Yeah,
debut.
that would have been smart.
It would have been, and that becomes
because life happens.
No, go ahead.
I'm just saying life happens.
Oh, life does happen. That becomes a whole other ball game if you decide to do a show that is about like breaking news or someone maybe here, sports every week, where you actually have to watch the game and then report on it immediately. That's a whole other ball game that I wouldn't touch.
No.
Nope.
Yep. So
not unless I'm getting paid.
No, I wouldn't. So the other, a few other things to think about when you're talking about like setting up boundaries, that kind of thing, is if you do have a line that's crossed, this is really kind of more relevant for if you're doing like a tabletop type game. How do you stop that show and put down that X card or say pause? We need to walk that back. As much as I said, try not to edit. When there's a moment like that, give yourself the grace to say, okay, we're going to stop and we're going to do this. And just agree on that beforehand.
And honestly, you want to, like, yes, ideally you'd like to just run the show from start to finish without needing to edit anything. That's never going to happen. That is a perfection thing. You're not going to do it. What you want to do is, and we'll talk more about this in the editing section. I'll edit all that out. Is you want to give the space to be so your editor, whether it's yourself or you're having someone else do it, can cut around that stuff and still have a cohesive show.
And then more. Again, this is all about talking. That's why it's just this, you better start talking.
Start talking.
This is, so much of this will save you time later, but talking about, like, are we a jokey podcast? Are we serious? How do we feel about this? Do we want to swear on our podcast? Do we want to maybe not swear on our podcast because we want to have a broader audience that includes younger people or people that are listening with their very old parents in the car and don't like when you say swear words?
And also these things aren't always like, you don't have to have them all set in stone. You know,
Right.
maybe you start as a serious show, but for whatever reason the cast you have is really silly, and that's
It can evolve.
that's a better
Yeah.
experience. Then you can always adjust that as you go. Your show is going to evolve with time.
Absolutely. Your show will evolve with time. Not just it can,
It will.
It will.
Yeah.
But this is just a good starting, like, jumping off point. And again, like, I'm not gonna, like, if you come to me as, like, the rule maker, like, well, Alex said I have to have all of this ready to go. I'm not telling you that. This is just some stuff to think about as you're going and to talk with people about. And some of it
They're
might
more-
not even apply to you.
They're more like guidelines
They're
rather
more
than
like
actual
guidelines.
More like guidelines.
Yeah, and, like, on that aspect, it's how are you guys going to handle if you miss a drop date? Is that okay with you? How are you going to communicate it? Is it a big deal?
How does that go out on
All
social
of that.
media?
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
Exactly. And then, just start talking about where you're going to place it. I'm going to go on to my next slide. Let's see what I wrote. Let's find out together. Oh, yeah, this slide. So treat this like a business? Yeah, it is. It is. You're making a business with your friends. As fun as it can be, as awesome as it can be, you still have to have meetings now. Aren't you guys? You're so pumped, right? You guys get to write
And
agendas.
This is regardless of whether you intend to monetize or not.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter.
Approaching this with a business mindset, especially the organization, it just
Oh, yeah.
saves you so much time. and
Google
energy
Calendars.
and
Google Calendars are
frustration.
your friend.
Yep. Google Calendars, legitimately writing agendas for things. Like, we have to sit down, we have to get through, because again, you're probably doing this with somebody you have chemistry with, that you like talking to, that you're going to do a really fun thing with. And so if you sit down and you're like, we're going to hammer out our show plan today, and then you start talking about, like, oh my God, did you see K-pop Demon Hunters? Isn't it so good? Right, exactly. This is how it
Sorry, that was
goes.
for me.
But literally, like, writing it down, having it, and it helps you get back on task. It helps you set those goals, whatever they may be. And your goals might be, I want to have a really fun thing I do with my friend. And your goal might be, I want to take down Critical Role and be the next big thing. It doesn't matter.
It sets those expectations, so everybody's on the same page. So no one's surprised to be like, "Oh, this is actually work." Yeah, I got things I got to do. Like, they know beforehand, and you can try to get that commitment, because I have seen in multiple media, it's not just podcasting, but across the board, where friends start a project and one has to back out, or one decides halfway through the project that it's like, this feels like work. I don't
Yeah.
feel like it. And then that other person is ghosted. I've seen friendships, and it's even worse if it's family.
Yeah.
I've seen those really become strained. So going into it with, like, no, this is I'm doing this thing. Are you in? Which is cool. If you're not, that's cool too. But I need a commitment, like, very upfront.
Yep. Okay. Absolutely. And all of the sort of tech is your friend. There's free management software, Asana, Jira, Miro, Google, all of that stuff. And I won't get super into it, but if you want to talk to me about it, my socials are right up here. You can always shoot me a message. All right. And yes, as we were saying earlier, the shared calendars, the shared filing system. So when we're talking about that, making that calendar that you can have everybody put their information in and decide which one's relevant, right? Like, yes, of course your recording dates are on there, but also, are they going to be out for a week because they're on vacation? Are their kids' soccer games every Wednesday? Throw that on the calendar, because you can plan around that even without having to get their full input. You can say, hey, I checked your calendar. It looks like this is free. We good? And you got it down. And it helps, especially when you're doing shows with 24 people, 27 people. You're out of your mind.
By the way, we did none of this.
Insane.
You're out of your mind, dude.
Yeah. I look back at that and I'm just like I could kick myself.
Yeah,
And we did that for 3 years.
Ooh,
That show's
boy.
called Blood Crow Stories, by the way. I'm still very proud of it. If you want to check it out, I have I have QR codes and stuff. But yeah, anyway.
And then I actually threw like one of our live filing systems up there that we have. This is for one of our shows. And I'm not saying like this is the exact way you have to do it, because it might work better for you to do it by your recordings, each individual person's. We do it by episode for this one.
Yeah.
Another show we have, we actually do it by the individual recording, and then our completed episodes, our shared documents for social logins, right? Because you're all going to need to know that, where to put your completed episodes, all of that stuff you can have a filing system for. And what you're going to do, you can change this later, but trust me, the very first time you go out, year 2025, followed by the month you recorded it. Let's say today, 08/30 _ your show name _ your name.
Yep.
And that's going to be your filing system until you say, Alex, that doesn't work for me. I have a better way. But to start off, that's how to do it, and then go sequentially from there.
Or whatever you decide to do, because ours, we do it slightly differently. We do date, character name, and then...
but something that helps you.
But whatever
organize.
it is, it's got to be unified with everybody. And everybody has to do this, especially if everybody's recording remotely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep, and making sure everybody has access, everybody can log into this, everybody has edit capabilities of it, and you will all be able to manage this thing together. So this has been the technical section of here. Like, not the editing fun part technical, the really boring technical section.
But super important, because without this part,
everything else
everything
falls
that
apart.
follows would fall apart, would be extremely difficult. So this is super important.
Again, pre-production will save your life, your time, your sanity, and your friendships.
Remember, we're talking about mental health. It's very important. Very important.
It is very important. So here's the point where I get to transition over into the more fun stuff. Make sure every time you build a calendar event, every time you put your show on that calendar, that you are building in warm-up time. Tell me why.
Reasons. Okay, so...
Tell me why.
Yes. The reason why you would build up warm-up time is if you're working with actors, or even if you're just doing like talking heads or something like that, an interview with someone, it just gives time for troubleshooting any technical difficulties. It also gives time for like the actor, the director, writer, whoever's like in on the job. You can kind of do a little bit of talk if you have any questions about the script. Like if I'm coming in and I'm like, okay, I've read the script, but I had this one. It gives you a little bit of that buffer. So it's really good to build in a little bit of warm-up time. Or if it's an interview, a talking head show, you can kind of just chat, get to know each other, vamp a little bit before the show kicks off. And some people use that time, and they'll still record it and put it on like their Patreon, like behind-the-scenes content. Like, ooh, this is what we were doing before the show even kicked off.
Yeah.
So it can work two jobs at once. Okay, so this is my section. I have a QR code up there. It's going to be on all the slides, and I'll have it at the end. These are free resources because I'm going to be blazing through some of this information. So you can grab it, follow along, get it at the end.
Again, we will have QR codes.
Yes, we will have so much
I've got
information for
QR
you.
codes here. We all have the QR codes to these
I'm just-
slides. So you don't, I see everyone like taking pictures, which is great. If you want to do that, go for it, but you don't have to. It will be
Yes.
available post the panel.
Okay, so that's kind of what we're gonna start. So we can go to the next one. I'm just gonna dive right in. So, space affects the structure, affects the setup, it affects your planning. If you're in an apartment versus a townhouse versus you live on a farm and you have a finished basement, this is going to very much affect how and where you can record. So it's really taking a step back and looking very practically at your situation. I'm someone who hasn't had very stable housing. I've had to move around a lot, so like a heavy permanent structure is no-go. Mine is something that can collapse, it can fold down, it's lightweight. Those are things I had to consider when thinking about building a little like remote recording space.
And sound booths like that are literally made of like PVC and sound blankets.
So that picture in the corner, that's a grow tent. Thank you, my hydroponic nerds. Because it is literally a 3x3x6 space. I'm 5'2". It is perfect. And it's just these little metal bars that snap into place. And I took moving blankets and I punched grommets and I hang that at the top. And I cut up an old yoga mat, TJ Maxx, you can get them cheap, and put that as my flooring so it's something soft. And I figured out a shelving situation, and that's my recording booth. I've known people to also do it out of like a refrigerator box, like a big cardboard box, and figure it out that way. There's so much, this is me in a little bit of a soapbox moment. There's so much talent trapped behind paywalls, and it makes me mad. Because I've had conversations with people, they're like, oh, I can't get into voice acting because I don't have a whisper room. If you don't know what that is, it's like $5,000 starting. They're like custom, super fancy.
That's like professional level voice acting booths.
I know professionals who still don't have that because they're like,
well, I'm like professional, like recording studio level.
Yeah, that's recording studio level booths, and it's like, no, you can start very simply. You can start on a budget. You can start with no money. You can ask around to friends. Thrift stores are your friends. Look at refurb. Like, again, that document's going to have a lot of resources. I have links and examples, all kinds of stuff there for you. Because again, I talked to a couple people and it made me mad, so I made like an 8-page document.
And even if you don't,
in my anger.
And even if you don't intend to build a booth, because maybe that's just not, you don't have the space for it, or you don't want to clutter up your house. There's a lot you can do with just adding things into a room. Like if your second
Closets.
bedroom
Yeah,
or closet's going to be your recording space, you can hang blankets. You can have you have bookshelves full of like filling up a room will help deaden it, and you don't have to buy
fancy foams.
any fancy
I
foams
also
or
have
anything
a
like that.
section in that document talks about foam. Egg crate foam is extremely flammable. Do not use it. That's how you can start fires.
Yeah,
Don't
egg crates
do it.
have never been
They're not good for sound. People use them because it's cheap. Sometimes
they don't
it's
they
free.
don't do a damn thing.
Yeah, it'll kind of work against
Except
you.
burn your house down.
You know what I learned 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Actually, is that plants are also good.
Yeah,
Plants are great.
Plants are very good for that.
Plants.
Just
plants
anything, because what you don't want is parallel walls.
that flat, hard surface is going to reflect. Kind of like if you walk into a bathroom, there's usually some kind of reflective noise. Versus if you walk into a closet or I had a recording booth in my linen closet for the longest time. There was just enough space for me to like wedge myself in. And because it was all just towels and stuff, I could put a little bit of padding, and you just find ways. So it's really what your space is, what your living situation, what your budget is, if it's a hobby versus something like it really just depends. So don't get overwhelmed thinking you have to, right out of the gate, get a $5,000 whisper room. Please don't. And if people tell you that,
They're trying to sell you something.
Send them to me. I am going to rant at them.
If they tell you that, they're trying to sell you something.
Yeah. Or they're projecting their own insecurities onto you, and that's not fair. That is unkind to you. So
Again, I'll use an unpopular
feelings. I have feelings.
I'll use a popular unpopular example. Joe Rogan. It's literally a basement. Okay, he records literally in a basement. It doesn't have like a ton of soundproofing, so but it still works.
Yes.
So
So again, on the slide, and anybody following along in the document, this is again in nauseum, but things like foam, curtain, blankets, going to the thrift store and looking at the linen section, getting old comforters, quilts, like those heavy quilts are the best because they're nice and dense and fluffy. And if you can get like sewing grommets, and so you can hang them up that way, you can make whole little closet systems from thrift stores.
yeah.
I am not joking about this. Like it's.
Oh no, I have to buy blankets.
Yeah, no, you have to buy blankets, fabric now.
And you can literally hang them on like like a stand, one of those rolling wardrobe racks. You don't even need to have a crazy setup. You just hang it over, put that behind you. That's going to kill.
There's my rant about not all acoustic foam as well. Even if you buy something off of Amazon and it says this is acoustic foam, not all of them are fireproof.
Most of them are also cheap and don't do anything.
Yes, so make sure you do a little bit of research. If you are investing the money into acoustic foam, make sure you do that research and you're not getting something that is potentially a risk.
Yeah.
Because if you have a lot of electrical equipment, you have wires, anything like that running through, that could be potentially a fire hazard. Foam. I have the kitchen mat in here. Those anti-fatigue mats that you put in like the kitchen to stand on, those are amazing because if you're standing in a booth, and recording for an hour or two, your feet are going to get tired. And you want to dampen any kind of noise anyways, you might as well make yourself comfortable. If you do need seating accommodation, if that's something you require, make sure, again, that's part of the space. That's the part that you just have to be like, okay, what is my situation that's going to make me the most comfortable for the long term? Because sometimes you are recording for 3.5 hours a session. So vocally, yes, you have to prepare your voice for that, but it can also take a toll on your body if you're standing and you have plantar fasciitis and other joint problems. So I have to take into consideration, okay, what is going to make me be able to do this at my best capacity for long term? So, also, shelving. So in my little 3x3x6 space, I have to consider shelving. So if I have a shelving situation that's 2 feet deep, that's going to be a problem. Like, don't forget yourself in the equation when building that little space out. Don't forget to also consider, like, yourself, if you need a chair, if you need accessibility accommodations, like, make sure that that's going to work for you. Also, cable management. I will yell at you, manage your cables, because your cables are very sensitive, and they can pick up electromagnetic interference from other cables that are live, from your phone, from your tablet. So suddenly you're getting a buzz or something crackling on the microphone, and it's picking up on your system, your recording. I can't think, words are hard. I'm a pint low. I gave blood earlier.
High pass.
Thank you. And it's picking up there. You have to figure out where is that coming from, and sometimes it's because 2 cords are too close to each other. Yeah. So if you do that big rat's nest.
Especially like mic cables, XLR cables like these, and power cables. You want to try to keep them separate.
You want to try to keep them separate
because the power, it will pick up on the cables and get into your recordings.
Yeah. So keeping things organized, not just in the digital realm with your setup, but also your physical setup.
Yeah.
Can be very, very important, and it makes it a cleaner space, and it makes it easier to manage. Thank you. I agree. Thank you for that.
Let's move.
All right, so final one. Okay, so this is a very small bit of like voice acting. Voice acting is acting. I've met many people that have amazing voices. They come up, they can do amazing impressions, and then you can do characters. But I need to believe you. Like SpongeBob is a great voice, very iconic. But you believe him. As silly as that character is, you know when they're sad. You know when they're happy. You know when they're angry. So acting is first and foremost. But it's acting purely with your voice. So, like, improv is amazing to get into, because improv, you're using your imagination. Get in touch with your inner child, because you're in a booth with a microphone. Sometimes there's no pictures. It's literally just a description and some words. That's it. So if you're looking into any kind of formal training, Meisner is great. Excuse me.
And even if you're not intending to do like an audio drama or anything like that, this sort of thing can still help you improve as a presenter, as a...
Yes. I suffer a lot from social anxiety, and improv and taking acting classes really did help give me tools to manage that. Like, byproduct, did not expect that at all, but it did. And Meisner, if people are not familiar with Meisner, there's a couple different, quote, schools of acting. So Meisner, Stanford Meisner, emphasizes that it's that in the moment and behaving truthfully under imaginary circumstances. So you're not walking onto the set of Star Wars with your X-Wing pilot suit and you got the plane there. Yeah, there's some, guys sitting there moving the plane on either side of you, but you can be in that moment because you've got some of the props, you've got the costume on, you have the makeup. You don't have any of that. Very often you might be in a scene where you're acting, or you have a scene with several people, but everybody records their dialogue individually and separate. Very rarely is it an ensemble piece, which means like everybody's in the room acting with each other. Frequently, it's just you, the director, maybe a writer, and that's it. So getting in touch with that inner child, that improv is just great. or any kind of performance background that you might have is very, very essential, because it allows you to just, I want to say, just like play innocently. And it can be difficult to rediscover that inner child sometimes, because if anybody remembers, or if you have kids, or if you have little ones in your life, they're just in the moment. They're not thinking it. They're not thinking about everything else. They're not in their head. They're just in the moment. And you can tell them, like, be a dinosaur, and they're just like, "Rah!" Like, they don't even hesitate. They just dive in. That's something you sometimes need to reconnect with, because frequently we get to a certain age, younger or older, and we're told, like, oh, you can't do that anymore, or you're too much, or whatever it is. And so reconnecting with it is super important. So there's a little bit about like camera versus voice acting specific classes. If you're ever interested in that, know that like acting classes, a lot of them are for on camera. So it tends to be a lot of your physicality, what you're doing tends to be very kind of more subdued. However, in voice acting, the more you're a Muppet, the better. Because if you're all like, if you're very kind of scrunched up, or you're tense or anything like that, it comes through in your voice, because your body is your instrument. But if you're suddenly loud and expressive, and you're moving and you're emphasizing all your words, it comes out in your voice. And even if you can't see it, you can hear it.
Just don't hit the mic or the table.
Yeah, don't hit the mic.
Because then I'll be mad.
He will be. And like all of that is such good advice. And to those of you sitting in the audience right now going like, oh, but I only want to have like that kind of talk show, like I wasn't looking for an acting show, you still need to be aware of that mic, how far it is from your mouth, where you're looking. As you can see, as I look over, you can hear it changes a little bit.
Track the
you
mic.
Still have
Track
to be
the mic.
aware.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing. And at the very end, it says, move, be a Muppet, but you have to stay on mic, which means you plant your feet and you plant your mouth. Everything else in between can move.
Yeah. Don't go off mic,
but
because then I'll be mad.
We had, because it's like if you're talking like this and I'm speaking to you and suddenly I'm like, yeah, and then like yesterday we went to lunch and it was, no, don't do that. Be aware of where you are on the mic if you're.
That actually hurt me.
It did.
I know
We're thinking of the
the
same
demonstration, but that still hurts me.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. So, do we want to continue to beat on A.B. Scott, or do we want to let him talk?
I don't know. Do you want to let me talk?
Yeah.
Real quick, just if like acting classes are difficult for budgetary reasons, and I understand in this economy, find work, find volunteer positions, find free instances where it can teach you. Community theater, amazing. If you're a part of a TTRPG, if you play D&D or any role-playing games, that's an amazing improv experience.
Yeah.
Use that. If you're in LARPing, use that. Performance venues. As an example, I worked at the Georgia Renaissance Festival. And that was amazing because the most honest crowd you're ever going to have is drunks and kids. If something's not working, they're going to let you know.
Yep.
But we had to do character development because we had to be in character. And then we had to sit there and improv with people. We had to do bits with people who are not actors. I would be walking the streets and just in character, oh, good day to thee, how be they today at the fair? And just read the room. And so you find those opportunities that can teach you and sometimes get paid, or sometimes it's a volunteer. And maybe it's not a formal class, but you're still getting that very important experience. Okay, stop.
All right. Let's
All right. So, Cricket did a great job talking about setting up your space and everything. We're going to talk a little bit about audio setups. This is a very kind of basic, three basic setups you're going to run into.
Infographics.
So at the top, you have your microphone going into a preamp, going into an interface, into your DAW. DAW is a digital workstation. Okay, the interface is what converts the sound into electrical sounds to get it into your computer. Okay, and then a preamp just kind of boosts the signal. Now, at this point, most interfaces have great or really good preamps, so you don't really need this. This is kind of very high level, very studio based stuff. This isn't really your typical home setup, but it is an option as you develop your show, as you develop your voice acting reel as a path to upgrades. Typically, what you're going to get typically is you're going to get either an XLR mic, just like the mic I have in front of me. This is XLR, goes into the board back there, and then that board's actually connected to a computer going into the live stream. So that mic interface, whether that's a mixer or like one of the 2-channel Focusrite interfaces, into your DAW. And then now, again, USB microphones, they've gotten so good. They're better than the Blue Yetis we used to have, that some people still have.
Me.
They're fine. They're fine. But especially now, USB microphones have gotten so good and usually come bundled now with software, with EQ and compressors and things like that, that really help you out. So if you're doing this as a hobby,
Or just starting out.
if you're just starting
USBs.
out, a USB mic into your laptop, boom, you're good to go.
Yep.
Again, I did mention digital audio workstation. The common ones and inexpensive ones are Audacity, which is free. Reaper, which I will forever Reaper's awesome. I was looking for a word and I lost it. Thank you. I'll be a Reaper
Even.
I want to say Evangelion because of yesterday.
Evangelion, Reaper Evangelion.
You have your concert
Anyway.
on the brain.
Anyway, so
Yes.
but Reaper is a really awesome full use DAW. It only costs a one-time $60 fee for a personal license, or you can actually you can download it and play with it for 90 days, and then all that happens is you get a pop-up for 5 seconds asking you to buy a license, and then you just click still testing, and it still works.
Yep.
So-
And if you're not,
Is that easier than Audacity?
It's different. So, and that's the thing. Audacity and Reaper are different workflows. A lot of people start with Audacity.
Audacity is very intuitive.
Yeah.
Reaper can be very intimidating. And actually, in the in the resource section of the content that I have, I do have resources about tutorials about how to set up that, because there's people on YouTube. I'm from the University of YouTube.
Yep.
Who specifically, like, that's all they do is talk about these specific programs and how to set up your station, and they walk you through it.
Yeah.
They like from the beginning,
Yeah,
because the
and-
first time I opened Reaper, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, and both of them have a lot of resources
Yes.
on how to use them. I love Reaper, but I also I went to school for audio production, so I come from music, from Pro Tools and stuff like that. So Reaper is more works for me, but Audacity is just fine as a program itself. But those are the two I'm always going to recommend because they're free and cheap, which is the best. Some of the other ones, subscription-based, Pro Tools, don't do it. Just don't. Don't bother. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your time.
Especially starting out, like, get
Well,
comfortable
and-
with it first before you start really investing in a lot of different programs
Right.
or tools.
I also got Adobe Audition on there, and now I don't like Adobe, but I like Audition. It has a lot of really great cleanup plugins and stuff that come with it. So, again, can be a later thing. If you're just starting out, I would not recommend it because it's a lot. But the biggest thing I want to point out is nobody cares what DAW you use.
No.
Your listeners do not know a Reaper session from a Pro Tools session from anyone else. Use what works for you. And a lot of people will get kind of very dogmatic about this, especially if they are coming from the audio production world. They'll be like, oh, this is the best. No, what's best is what works for you.
This kind of ties in with the whole setup thing, where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you can only voice act if you have a whisper room. It's like, no,
Right.
you can have the
It's
free
like, oh,
stuff.
you have to
It's
have
okay.
this microphone with this interface or with this DAW. No, you don't. You have to use what works for you and what you can get.
Yes.
And then you can always upgrade later. For music, we're talking about background music, openers, closers, stingers, things of that nature.
Sound effects. Epidemic sounds.
Yeah, sound effects. Again, I haven't really used any of these, but some royalty-free sites, Epidemic Sounds,
I've used Epidemic Sounds. I
Soundstripe.
like them.
You can commission musicians. Hello, I'm here. You can even make it yourself. I mean, you know, shout out to Cricket. You know, it was, 6 months ago you came to me about wanting to...
I was curious about music production, and I had noise bouncing around in my head, and I was like, it needs to get out somehow. And you actually turned to me and you were like, you know that Reaper has like an entire music production like thing in it? And I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
So I'd had this program I'd been using to do auditions and very basic voice stuff. And suddenly I found, I was like, oh, it's got a lot more. And that's where I was like, oh no, because I don't know anything about that. So you gave me actually a couple online resources to kind of start learning that side of Reaper.
Yeah, and now you've put out, 2, 3 songs?
2 songs.
Make sure to go check out their social
So-
medias. They're great.
Aw, thank you.
But the point, but also what I'm saying with that is you can make up your own music. You know, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the crazy cinematic type stuff. It can be a very simple song.
And if it's an intro, it's like, 10, 15 seconds? It doesn't have to be, you
Right.
don't have to do Beethoven. It's
Now,
okay.
the only place I'm going to put my foot down on is do not use AI generated crap. Don't be a clanker.
Yep.
I will fight anyone behind Denny's about that. Okay, you're stealing from artists. Don't do it. Pay them. Go to royalty free. You know, most artists, even if they have like stuff posted, like most musical artists will have stuff on Bandcamp and stuff like that. Most times you can even just email them like, hey, I've got a show. You know, I love your song. Can I use this on my show? We'll credit you.
Yeah.
And most will go, you know, if they're trying to build a name or whatever, you know, or they may charge you for it. You know, that's something you work out.
And it just from the sort of more production standpoint of that, I would highly recommend that for your intro, outro of your show, you commission somebody, you get something that's custom to you. For the internal components of your show, there are so many people on Patreon, whatever, blah, 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 that will make that music that you can use if you credit them. Scott Moore, for anybody looking. So get a custom thing that's going to be the thing that draws people in, or the thing that, like, even we, like, sometimes we'll do shows, and, like, after we do our intro, we'll all be sitting around our mics going, da-da-da-da-da. Like, that iconic thing, make that the custom one. And then you can talk about doing more later
Yeah,
internally.
and what matters is it reflects your show. Okay, so we talk about time, so we're going to talk a little bit about editing, production flow. I'm not going to go too deep into this. Again, if you go to my QR code, I was on a show called Be Awesome Together, where I went through, like, for an hour and a half, how to actually edit. So if you want to learn, like, how to actually edit, then you can go and check that out. But again, the biggest things, organization saves time. Make sure you name your tracks. Make sure most of them have the options to do color coding.
Yes.
So, like, I'll use one color for sound effects, one color for voices, one color for music. That way I know what I'm looking at going forward. Editing takes a lot longer than you think. Generally, what I found in talking with other editors, usually plan for about 3 hours of editing per 1 hour of recording. The way I workflow with it is I do a basic edit where I'm just cleaning up pauses and taking out ums and uhs and things of that nature. And you don't always have to take those out. If it makes sense for the scene, leave it in. You know, you decide how the show sounds, or if you're an editor working for a show, then you want to talk to the director and understand what they're trying to do. So again, I do a basic vocal edit. If it's just the talking heads, then I'll just do another pass listening on headphones to make sure the sound's still balanced. And then I'll do a final pass where I'm just doing the EQing and everything like that. If it's a audio drama, then I do basic edit, sound effects, music placement, and then balancing and mixing. When you're editing, take breaks. Set yourself a clock. your ears will fatigue very quickly. I personally do about an hour, and then I take about a 15-minute break. That's what works for me, and that also helps with time management and for things not to feel overwhelming, because it's easy to look at 3 episodes, maybe you've got 10 episodes recorded, and you're like, oh my God, I've got 10 hours worth of material. Well, you got to start with the first bite. So start slow, and if it's just 30 minutes, then you do 30 minutes and take a 5-minute break and try it again. Don't do marathon editing sessions, because you will make mistakes.
We've never done that.
Yes, I have. Mixing, when you mix at moderate levels. You want it just above conversation. So if people are talking behind you, you kind of want to be able to hear them, but it shouldn't be too clear. But when you, whatever level you set that at, you leave it at that level and you adjust everything to that. Okay, so you don't, once you set your headphone or your speaker level, you leave it there. Otherwise, your mix can become off because of that. Excuse me. Again, what to edit out, that's going to be a stylistic choice. You do want to take out ums and uhs if they're just kind of in the space of nowhere. If it's like, 5-minute pause, you want to take that out and cut that down. But if it's in the middle of what they're saying and you can't really cut around it, then leave it in. You're not getting points taken off for having an and there. As obviously I'm not voice talent because I'm doing it all over the place. Again, actors and talent can really help the editing process by slowing down and taking pauses and giving space between lines and things of that nature. It's easier to take away space than it is to add space. So when when I talk to my voice actors, I tell them, okay, pause, take that again. Or if they start stumbling, take a pause. If you're talking and you're going, stop, take a breath, start again. You can always cut that. You can always cut stuff like that out. Mm-hmm. And yeah, done is better than perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect mix. There's no such thing as a perfect edit. You will make mistakes. Get the episode out. Do better the next one. Don't let perfection stop you from releasing your show. And just like in the music business, like there are so many bands that are trying to do the perfect mix or the perfect song. It's not going to happen. Put the song out, move to the next one. Put the episode out, move to the next one. Effects, plugins. You see this giant curve here? Don't do that. You want to make small adjustments. This is either they're going for a specific effect or somebody screwed up.
And for those online, it's like a mountain, and it's kind of like this across the. It's like they don't have visual aids.
Again, your main effects are going to be EQ and compression, vocal cleanup and deverb. I personally use Isotope down there at the bottom. They have a very good audio repair for relatively cheap. There's noise reduction. Again, that's going to be a YouTube thing that you need to. I could do a whole panel on that alone. Again, nobody knows what plugins you use. Stock plugins work just fine. You do not have to go out and buy a $200 a month suite or 500 plugins. I have way too many goddamn plugins as it is.
Reaper comes with a ton of plugins that are perfectly fine.
Reaper and Audacity both have good plugin suites.
Just with it.
You just got to learn how to use them.
Yeah.
Again, garbage in, garbage out. So bad recordings, there's only so much you can do. There is some vocal cleanup, but if you've got a electrical signal in the back of
if you have
or you have this noise behind you,
Perfect example.
there's only so much I can do about that.
Yeah.
So when you get, when you run into bad audio, that's when the communication happens. Or really should be happening before that. Usually the communication with me is, Scott, we love you. But that's when you need to talk, tell people like, okay, like I can clean this up somewhat, but it's still going to be bad. We need to put a disclaimer out, or this is complete garbage. You shouldn't release this. And I've told that to the shows I work for. You know, and that I've been working with them for years, so we have that trust, obviously. You know, that's not something I would do with a brand new client. Again, do the best you can, put a disclaimer out, people understand, or you can choose not to release it and you can re-record it.
And if you start every phone call with your AV guy, hey, you know I love you, he's gonna start hanging up on you after a while.
I'm either gonna hang up or you're gonna give me a raise. Speaking of which, again, we're not gonna go too deep into monetizing. You can find clients for do this. I found mine through network connections that I made at DragonCon. I never intended to do this to get paid. It's just been a happy benefit of working with awesome people. So some ways to find clients: word of mouth helps, volunteering, helping out friends, have a portfolio. Marketing works, I guess. I don't know. I'm not good at it. I'm terrible. Talk to a marketer. I would avoid anything like Fiverr or Craigslist or anything like that, because they're really oversaturated. They take a chunk of your earnings right off the bat, and everyone's fighting for the same thing, so they're going to lowball each other. You know, it's just if you can build a rep. You know, I build my rep here at DragonCon. I volunteered for I've volunteered for 6 years. That's how I've built my network, and not intentionally. It's just that's how it's happened. So, you know, once people realize like you're good at what you do, you know, and again, being easy to work with and meeting deadlines is kind of higher than your skills, because the people who are paying you to do this either don't have the skills or they don't want to spend the time. So they, you know, if you have the time and the skills and you're easy to work with, you're going to get work pretty regularly. Again, with client management, be very clear about your costs and how much you're going to do. Always do an hourly rate. Don't do by show, because then all of a sudden the shows turn into 4-hour marathons. You know, impose deadlines on the client. You can do that. There was a time with Goblins and Growlers where they were giving me the episode like the day before release. And a lot of it was life was lifing. It wasn't anything bad, but like that happened to, you know, 1 or 2 times, and I finally said, okay, if we're going to keep doing this, I'm going to charge you an additional hour for this, because now you're taking up that day. All of a sudden, I got the episodes with plenty of time to work with them. So you manage the client as much as the client manages you, and that's where your boundaries have to hit. If you're not in agreement on those boundaries, then and if it's not working for you, then walk away. You know, and again, this is also, you know, I have the personal belief at the bottom, everyone should edit their own show before hiring someone else to do it, so you understand what it's like, because the people that never have done it are always going to give you the, well, can't you just
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah. But the people the people I work for, they've done it. They've done the work. They don't want to spend the time, so it's more valuable for them to pay me to do it. And it also helps that we're friends and we have a great relationship. You know, I did a show for this one, and we were very quickly able to come to terms, and it worked out great for both of us. You know, that's just professional courtesy. So again, finally, you know, the trifecta: good, cheap, fast. Pick 2. You're not going to get all 3. So, you know, if they want fast and good, well, then you got to open up that paycheck. If you want it cheap and good, then you're going to have to give me a lot more time, you know, because certain other things take a priority. So again, communication, boundary setting, you know, that's how it all works.
All right, so we went over a ton of information, okay? Yeah. So we were trying to give you guys a kind of gamut of what we're doing. So this next slide here, Q&A, we're gonna flip it on its head a little bit. So the people that came out here today that have not done a podcast before, that were interested in it, have we encouraged or discouraged you? How are you guys feeling? Good? Or, okay, terrified. Terrified's
okay,
good.
But like a good terrified or like a bad
healthy dose of fear is a good thing.
Yeah, a healthy dose of fear is not bad. Mm-hmm. Not bad at all.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, the people that have a show, did we teach you anything at all? Probably. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay,
Yay.
not so shabby then.
Anybody interested in voice acting more? Or are you still? Okay, yay!
Awesome.
Those that were interested in editing, are you still interested?
Yeah, our three.
I see a
our
tier.
three-
I see a
I
tier.
yeah,
Any- we got,
one-
okay, we have some new ones. All right.
What's
Yeah.
that?
I don't have a choice, I have to add it.
Okay, well, there you go.
You gotta edit your own
Absolutely.
stuff. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And by the way, if you edit, you're an editor.
Yes. Hooked up with clients, how do you get your jobs?
How do I get my jobs? Several different ways. For a long time, I had to go find them. Some places were a pay-to-play site. Those places, unfortunately, no longer are viable. A lot of the stuff I've done has been networking, word of mouth. I did get an agent, which happened very serendipitously. Like, I was performing. I used to be part of. I used to live in Los Angeles, and I was part of the trans chorus of Los Angeles. And we were performing our winter show, and there happened to be an agent in the audience we didn't know about, and they called our director, our choir director, for someone else. They were asking about someone else who had performed in the show, and I just happened to also be like, I just communicated a lot with my director, and we talked about like things, what my interests were, because when I went in, you had to audition to get in the choir, and they're like, what do you do? And I was like, I moved out here to be a voice actor. So they knew that, and they just happened to pitch me to them, and then just set up this opening. And I, at that point, had just always kept up with my demos, my website. I had just always, so I was like ready to go. And I was just like, I would love to have this conversation, and then I was able to get in touch with that agency. So it was it's just who you know. You never know who you talk to. I just happened to talk to my chorus director about voice acting. I was like, yeah, I'm singing because I love singing. The instrument is all related. So it just happened that way, and they happened to get in touch with someone else who was calling about someone else, and they just happened to pitch me. Like, it was very serendipitous.
And this is where, you know, networking, talking to people, being friends with people.
Friends without expectations.
Right.
Okay, we do have questions.
Well, we've got one person here.
We have
We do
questions
have a
and
mic.
1 minute left. We have
Okay.
3 questions, 1 minute, so we can try to rapid fire it, but also we'll probably be here for a little bit after the show.
Yes,
So,
so you can-
I think it was you first. You sure?
All right, you can come, if you have questions, come to us after the panel. How about that?
Yeah, because
Perfect.
we are literally at time. And those are the QR codes. I also have one up here, so you can absolutely get resources from us. So thank you, everyone,
Thank
for
you so
coming.
much.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to actually turn mine around.
Don't be
I'm
shy.
gonna-
Take them.
Take 'em.